So Gavin Newsom has a podcast. I don't know. Guess somebody told him it was a good idea, which I actually think it is a good idea, to be honest. For him, it's if you're playing the long game, which it seems like if you watch some of his podcasts, he probably is playing the long game. He sees that the ship is sinking. The Democrats' ship is sinking, so he's getting himself off of it. He's kind of pulling away from certain very unpopular uh, positions that the Democratic Party has taken, especially with trans women, biological men, playing in women's sports. So uh, this is a CNN article. Okay, so yeah, it couldn't be worse, right? CNN we know is garbage. Let's see what they have to say. So Newsom becomes most prominent Democrat to buck the party and echo majority public opinion on trans athletes. Democratic governor California Governor Gavin Newsom is no stranger to going against the grain on significant social issues. I love this. Watch how this is written. This is funny because this is CNN, right? So they're gonna be very favorable to him and the Democratic Party, even though he's going against it. This is the whole playing like, oh, we were always on this side. We were never that. We were never part of that. We didn't agree with that. That's wrong. It's where they gaslight you, right? 4 years before California voters passed a ballot initiative banning same-sex marriage in 2008, then San Francisco Mayor Newsom instructed the city clerk to issue marriage licenses to gay couples, defying federal law and solidifying his reputation as a longtime ally of the LGBTQ community. That history was top of mind for several Democrats last week when the governor said in his new podcast that transgender girls and women participating in female sports leagues is deeply unfair. The comments made him the most prominent Democrat to buck the party and echo public opinion on an issue that helped shape the 2024 election and could be a political liability once more in 2028. The episode quickly made good on the promise of the podcast, advertised as a place where the governor would answer the hard questions. Chief among those are the limits to the party's support for transgender Americans. The issue of fairness is completely legit, Newsom said on This Is Gavin Newsom last week. And we've got to own that. We've got to acknowledge that. Democrats have spent the last several years pushing back on a wave of anti-transgender bills and rhetoric led by Republicans, including Donald Trump, who made banning transgender athletes from women's sports a key part of his 2024 campaign. Most Democrats have been steadfast in their opposition to restricting or rolling back transgender rights. But in the wake of Vice President Kamala Harris's loss, millions in attack ads and public polling showing a majority of Americans disagree with Democrats on transgender athletes, some members of the party are acknowledging the political dilemma facing them. Yeah, you're jumping ship. That's what they do. They go, oh, no. Oh, we weren't for that. And then a little time passes and the gullible idiots that voted for him in the first place go, oh, it's it's kind of like, I don't know. I like Seinfeld, right? So there's a Seinfeld episode where he's doing this thing where he's like, hello. He's talking about the chick he's dating's belly button. When he goes to sleep, it continues, or when she goes to sleep, it continues talking in the night. So they're always, hello. And she gets wind of it and she dislikes it. And then he has to pick between that and doing that thing and not doing it, or in her or whatever. And of course he chooses doing the thing. But then it gets old. Just suddenly it gets old. And it's like, oh, we're not doing that anymore. It's just abruptly, it's like, oh, no, that's not funny anymore. And then they stop doing it. It's like, well, that's it. And then he goes to try and get back with her and that, and he finds out, after that, whatever. Anyways, I'm going long-winded into a Seinfeld episode. But what I'm saying here is they try and act like, no, oh, we never really did that. No, that wasn't what we were doing. We've always been whatever you think is right. That's what we're for, And then people go, oh, okay, well, yeah, no, we're with you. We're doing whatever. Now, oh, transgender women bad in female sports? Okay, I guess. The hard tards all the way over to the left are never going to give up on it. They're just, whatever. They're just completely lost. But it's the people that are, just easily swayable. They're the ones that are just going to kind of go with it and forget. They're going to forget what was said, and they're just going to go along with whatever is being said currently. A January New York Post Times Ipsos poll found that 79% of Americans, including 67% of Democrats, said they believe female transgender athletes should not be allowed to play on women's sports teams. Duh. Common sense. A Pew Research poll released last month found that 66% of Americans favor laws that require transgender girls and women to play on the teams of the gender that they were assigned at birth. The same poll also found that 56% of Americans favor laws that prevent discrimination against transgender Americans. I'm kind of for that too, in a way. Like, when I say prevent discrimination, but the discrimination of them can't discriminate against another whole section of people. So in other words, you can't say, oh, I'm not going to discriminate against a transgendered woman playing in women's sports, because that's going against the women in that sector. But so you have to kind of pick what you do. Like you can have your own transgendered, section where you all play against each other. That's cool. That's fine. I'm all for that. But you can't just jump into this one and take it over. And that's what happens. Obviously, you see that when a transgender woman enters the female space, it doesn't go very well for the female athletes, especially if that transgender person is sort of newly, transitioned, right? Excuse me. For many Democrats, the debate was heightened in the aftermath of Harris's loss and the outsized impact of a Trump campaign ad that highlighted her past support for gender-affirming surgery for prison inmates. Kamala's agenda is they, them. President Trump is for you, one ad said. It's clever. Further down the ballot, Democratic Senate candidates Sherrod Brown of Ohio and Colin Allred of Texas, both of whom lost their races, also faced ads focusing on transgender girls in sports. So, anyways, this goes quite a little while. You can see quite a long-winded article about a bunch of bullshit. But the point is that Newsom now has a podcast that he is trying to correct the public image of him, because I think obviously this is the guy. This is their front-running guy. I think they're preparing for the 2028 race, or even the midterms essentially, but he's going to be the presidential candidate for 2028. So I think what they're going to do with this guy is they're going to have him. He's going to be he's basically the ace in the hole. They're going to scrub all his bullshit over the next year or two with his podcast, which is probably completely endorsed and accepted by the Democratic Party. They're probably happy he's doing it, and it's probably all, everything he's doing on there is to some degree scripted, and he'll be the ace in the hole for them when and if their desired candidate doesn't work out. So they'll have a desired candidate if they don't make through primary, and Gavin Newsom does. They got Gavin Newsom, right? Because let's be real, the white dude president works most of the time. It's the one that wins most of the time. I don't think en masse the American public is quite ready for a female president unless she's top notch. You can't just shove Kamala Harris in there or dog shit Hillary Clinton and hope that it's going to be the first female president. It's going to have to be a good female, and she's going to have to be a little bit better than the male counterpart, if you know what I mean. Like, you can get kind of a dog shit white dude in there and he'll win just because it's kind of what they're used to, and now it'll be, now they'll have this dog shit white guy in the, waiting in the wings in case whatever candidate that they want to push doesn't work out. So, God bless him. He's doing a good job cleaning up his whole image on his podcast. We'll see how that goes.